How to get people to trust you, or how can we trust other people? There's this idea that I once learned about on the 2 essential components to trust. I think in every interaction and every relationship that we have or that we deal with, trust is a central part, right? Whether it's your work relationships, professional relationships, our romantic settings, our family relationships, even our social settings. It's really hard to function in society if you don't trust the people that you're dealing with, or if they don't trust you. And trust is an essential part of relationships functioning well in whatever setting. And you don't have to be a relationship expert to understand that, right? Just from your experience, you are more free, more comfortable, more confident when you feel that you can trust the people that you're dealing with. In fact, the other word for trust is confidence. Is confidence. And so we become more confident in people who we trust, and when we are trustworthy, others can be more confident in us. Now, there are 2 things that can make up trust, and it's easy to trust a person whom we think is a good person, right? If we perceive that a person is a good person, we trust that person. And there are 2 components that I've read about, that I've learned, are 2 essentials to becoming trustworthy, or that we use to trust a person, and that's what I would call competence and character. Being good versus being good. I once wrote an article on it and I entitled it Being Good versus Being Good. And it's the idea of competence versus character. And that those 2 items of competence and character are what make up trust. Now, what do we mean by competence and what do we mean by character? Competence, first and foremost, is the person's ability to do something, right? Competence is a person's ability to do something. And when we know that someone is able and capable to do something, they are competent. And that competence is what makes them trustworthy. And so you trust someone because you know and believe that they are capable to carry out something that you need them to do. They have the skills, they have the necessary abilities, they have the tools and the equipment in order to carry out what it is you need them to do. And as a result of that, they are trustworthy, right? You are confident in them because you know that they have competence. That's the one component. The second part is character. It's one thing for a person to be good at something, but it's another thing for a person to be a good person in their hearts, right? A respectful person, a respectable person, an honorable person, a person who is faithful, who is diligent. And the character part, a person who's likable, the character part is what makes a person trustworthy. And sometimes when we have the one and not the other, it becomes very difficult to trust. And they're both very important and also very difficult to cultivate. So for example, competence. If you have competence without character, you can trust a person, but you won't trust them completely because you'll feel as though they're not trustworthy. They might be good at what they do, but you won't trust them. And likewise, if there's character, but without the competence, right? If they lack the skills and the abilities, the capabilities to do what you need them to do, even in that respect, then you can't trust them. And so there are 2 aspects that are essential for creating trust or confidence in a person. And those 2 are competence and character. Competence is being able to do what needs to be done, right? The technical or, capabilities that a person has to have. Character is having the heart to do it, right? It's having the heart that is required in order to be able to do what needs to be done. Competence without character breeds corruption, right? So if a person is capable to do something, but they don't have the right heart for it, they can be corrupt because they can, do whatever needs to be done, to tweak whatever needs to be done, to carry out their own evil ends. So competence without character leads to corruption. Character without competence leads to mediocrity. So if a person has a good heart, they have good character, but they don't have the ability to carry out what needs to be done, then it leads to mediocrity, right? Well-meaning, kind-hearted, good-spirited mediocrity. So when it comes to you and I trying to gain the trust of other people or the confidence of other people, whether it's in our work, whether it's your clients, whether it's your, the people that you serve or that you witness to, The two aspects in order to gain their trust is, number one, to display your competence, right? Your technical abilities, your ability to carry out whatever task needs to be done. To display your technical competence, to say that, okay, I have the skills necessary to carry out this thing. And to also display your genuine and authentic character, who you are as a person. Assuming that obviously you are genuine and good enough as a person to be trustworthy. So competence and character are essential. Now, this is true on various domains. In our work, for example, when you submit a CV for something, or if you are submitting a business profile or a website or whatever, you're displaying competence, right? You're displaying technical ability to carry out the task that needs to be done. When you then have the interview, right, or in sales, when there's the pitch, right, when you're presenting yourself and your work, that's you displaying your character. And whereas, the technical aspects can get you at one point, the character part gets you to another. Right? To say, okay, not only can we trust this person's technical ability, but we actually also like this person. Competence and character breeds confidence. I want to take it to a level higher to say that in our spiritual experiences, how we get to trust God is when we realize His competence and His character to intervene in the daily affairs of our lives. So we might be facing things that you are facing, in your own life. We might be facing things that one is facing. And sometimes we might struggle to trust God. You're praying, but you're thinking, can God come through for me with this? And it's the very human experience for one to have, to say, I need God to come through for me. I need God to intervene in this situation. But struggle to trust or to lack confidence in it because of not realizing two critical components. And for God to then gain our trust, throughout the whole Bible and throughout all the scriptures, He shows us time and time again two critical aspects of who He is. He shows us firstly His power. And that's why when you read the Bible, it talks about the fact that He's the creator, He upholds the universe, He sustains everything, etc. His power, right? His competence. He raised people from the dead. He raised Christ from the dead. That's a display of God's power, right? His capabilities to intervene in what seems like hopeless and impossible situations. The second part of character, to say that yes, we know that God is powerful, we know that God is strong, we know that God is, all strength and all this, but is He capable or willing rather to intervene in the situations? And that's the question of character. To say that, does He love me enough, or does He love you enough to want to go through with this for you, or to intervene in this for you? And throughout all the scriptures, He constantly reaffirms His love, constantly reaffirms His character and His willingness to intervene in situations. And that's so that you and I can trust Him. That's so that we can gain a confidence in His ability to intervene and save. And so there are two critical aspects of trust. That's the aspect of competence and character. Without competence, it leads to mediocrity. And without character, it leads to corruption. Competence and character are two essential components that make up for trust.